And we're back. You like that little recording in progress?
I like the clap.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't. Never mind. I got to be good.
Yeah. What it is? It's like when you're directing a movie, the slave.
Oh, okay.
That's why I do it.
Okay.
I do it for everything.
Right on.
Even food reviews. I do the clap.
Okay.
Anyways, this is John Hunt, new general manager of the Trappers. John, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, baseball has always been a love since I was a little kid from playing wiffle ball. And I was lucky enough to work for a minor league team on the East Coast called the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs for 6 years. The first 6 years they were in the Atlantic League. I started off as a sales rep for them because my previous career since I was 15 years old is radio. I've been in radio since I was a kid and until a week and a half ago when I took this job and came out to Pierre from Washington, D.C., Maryland area.
You pronounced it right, by the way.
I know. They taught me. I have to give our owner, Steve Wagner, credit for teaching me before I got here because I've lived in Nevada, which is the correct pronunciation for that state. Everybody thinks it's Nevada. Even TV shows get it wrong. And so I said, how do you say the name of this town? Because it looks like Pierre. Yeah. And he said it's pronounced Pierre, like you're walking off the pier. So here we are.
Yeah. What level is the Blue Crabs?
They are Atlantic League independent baseball. They have, I don't know, 10, 12 teams on the East Coast. And I would put them somewhere between AA and AAA as an independent league. They have a lot of major leaguers who have been injured, who end up coming back and playing in that league. They've had managers like Butch Hobson managed the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs for a while, who played for the Red Sox for a number of years. Oh, really? And a lot of former major league players come to that league to coach. And they're, of course, in a market area that includes New York City, Boston, all the way down to the Carolinas and over to West Virginia. So that area, of course, has a lot of baseball teams.
Do they have any famous alumni that people might know?
I'm brain locking. He was a Cy Young winner for Florida, for the Florida Marlins in the 90s.
Oh, I was going to say Josh Beckett.
No, he was a really cool guy. Darryl Thompson, who pitched for the Twins for a long time, is still pitching for Southern Maryland. Let me see, who else was in that league? Oh my goodness. Now, there have been a lot of players that came through the Atlantic League. I can look that up. And you can add that to a future broadcast if you like.
Okay. What plans do you have for this team?
We're going to bring a lot of fun to Pierre. We have a ton of promotions that we're going to do. I can't really talk about them all, but I can let you in on some secrets. Ooh. First off, the schedule will be out in the next couple of days. Ooh. Second off, the All-Star game is coming to Pierre for the very first time ever. We get the All-Star game. It'll be mid-July. When the schedule comes out, we'll have actual dates. Again, within the next couple of days, we will have the schedule. And all teams in the league will make the playoffs this year.
Really?
So it's going to be interesting.
Okay. I read somewhere that there's going to be 6 teams.
That is still being finalized. That's the only reason we don't have the schedule in hand. But that's what they're hoping for. That's the plan.
On the website, there's only 4 teams right now.
Yes. So. The plan is to have a traveling team. And that's the part that we're still working out because the Canadian team still has COVID restriction rules and things like that. And if they get that finalized, it's 6 teams. If they don't, it's 5. And that's where it is. We're adding a team. I can't give too many details on it because the press release hasn't come out yet. But another team is locked down and being added. And when the schedule comes out, that announcement will come out. I wish I could give you the secret on that, but my owner would smack.
You mentioned the All-Star game. That also, I think, includes a home run derby, does it not?
Actually, we're going to have a little more than just a home run derby this year. We're going to have a skills competition. And again, we haven't named all of the contests, but something will have to do with speed and running around the bases. Something will have to do with outfielders throwing to the plate. Can you make a strike from center? That kind of thing. And of course, the home run contest. And we're working on a pitching contest. The only worry at this level with collegiate ball players is a kid coming in, if we do a speed contest, not warming up properly, overthrows, blows out his arm in a collegiate league game, and then can't pitch for the college he pitches for in the next season. So we're working on details on that as well. Again, I literally got to Pierre last Monday. So I've been here 10 days.
Wow.
And jumping in full speed.
How can people purchase tickets?
That is also a big thing. You know what? I'll release that secret right here. I'm not sure when this is going to get broadcast back, but starting tomorrow morning, which is Thursday,
It's probably going to be
at 8 a.m., we are going to guarantee that you can get your season tickets at last year's prices. Now, only thing we're doing right now is season tickets because our ticket provider is changing and we're going through all of the computer things that need to be changed. Again, I've only been here for 10 days. So we're finalizing all of that, but that will all be changed within the next little bit of time. But between tomorrow morning, Thursday morning at 8 a.m., and what do we have here? The 23rd, a Saturday, you will be able to come to the office and get your tickets at last year's prices. We're, again, only selling season tickets and multi-game plans. But the fun thing about this is on the 23rd, you will get to come out to the stadium, to Hyde Stadium, and pick your seats. That's something that's never been done before as well. You just kind of get what you get. If you're the first person that buys tickets on Thursday morning, you're first in line to pick your seats. Now, if you buy GA, general admission, behind the plate, those are great seats, but there's no seat numbers. You don't really get to pick a seat. Everybody sits in GA. But reserved seats and the premium seating, it's going to be first come, first serve on the ticket sales. And then you'll be put on a list. And on Saturday, the 23rd, everybody who's bought tickets up until that day will be allowed to pick their seat in the order they purchased them. So again, first come, first serve. So that's going to be something fun and new. We're also going to add that as the day where we try out anthem singers. And we're going to pick some kids to be all boys and girls. And we're going to have some fun contests and food and other goodies out there. But yeah, Saturday the 23rd will be pick your seat day. And another big event, I know you've got questions, but another big event I don't want to forget about at the stadium this Saturday is a hiring day. We're hiring all of our food and beverage staff. So waiters and waitresses, concession stands, beer kiosks. Come to the stadium and we'll be hiring on the spot this Saturday from 10 until 2 o'clock. That is Saturday the 9th.
Okay. I read somewhere that you're a heart transplant survivor.
That is also 100% correct. On May 10th, 2019, received the blessing of somebody else's heart being put in my chest. I could, it might gross you out, but I could show you my zipper right down my chest. But
You don't have to.
yeah, that's okay. I'm proud of it. But yeah, I actually died. The joke with Steve and I, the owner of the league, has been I'll be able to say that I'm the only general manager in all of baseball who's ever died and come back to manage a baseball team. But I actually died twice, was brought back to life. There's a much bigger story. Was brought back to life, 2 years waiting to get on the transplant list in Oregon. Finally got listed for transplant on 2 days before I got my transplant. I was shocked. I was going to a Portland Trailblazers playoff game and I was on my way to the game. My heart's only pumping at 5 to 9% of its capacity. I'm in the car with my buddy and I get a phone call as I'm leaving my house saying, it's time for you to get your transplant. You got to come to Seattle right now. And I was shocked. I thought it was a joke. I thought my friend, 2 days, I'm like, my friends would play that kind of joke on me, but no, it was real. And I've been very lucky that an AB positive to AB positive transfer, which almost never happens. Usually AB positives have to take an A or a B or an O type blood, and you hope you don't get rejection. I've been lucky enough with 18 biopsies where they go through the neck to the heart. as Janis Joplin said, take another little piece of my heart. Well, that's what they
Yep.
do. And they did. And so far, no rejection, 0.0 rejection, which is always good if you have been a transplant patient.
How did you know that?
Well, when I had died, I didn't know I had a problem. I had just purchased a little radio station in Southern Oregon. That's where I was going to retire. That was, where I was going to spend the rest of my days living on the beach between the California border and Portland, Oregon. Beautiful little town down there. And I was working 18-hour days. We built up the station. It was very successful. And I started to get sick. I got the flu. And after getting the flu, I was in and out of the hospital 12 times. This local hospital, smaller hospital, they didn't have the capabilities to do what the hospital in Portland or Seattle could do. And they would direse me, which means they take all the fluids, because I gain all these fluids from what they thought was the flu. And they get the fluids out, keep me one night, and then send me home. I feel great. And would go right back to work, feeling great, back and forth. The 13th time, lucky number 13, I went in, I almost went home and went to sleep. It was a Sunday. I called my engineer and I said, can you come pick up the equipment? I'd done a live broadcast remote. And he said, go back to the hospital, yell at them if you have to, something else is wrong. And so I did, and super low blood pressure. They checked me and said, okay, we know it's not the flu, it's something else. And I went to bed in that hospital, and I woke up 6 days later, 2.5 hours away. I had been flown by helicopter to Portland, and I had been in a coma for 6 days when I woke up. They're like, yeah, you've been in a coma, you died, they brought you back to life. And here you are, and now you need a heart transplant. So the doctors at Oregon Health Sciences University, known as OHSU, did a tremendous job of keeping me going. And the University of Washington, go Huskies, were the ones that did the transplant thing.
You have no idea whose heart it was that you got?
I would love to find out my donor, but I don't have that information yet. I know my donor was 11 years younger than me, male, Caucasian, same blood type, no known diseases, and within 500 miles of Seattle. That's all I know. You have to write letters to an organization, and they forward them to the family, and the family can decide, the donor family, because of course with a heart transplant, it's not a living donor. The donor family can decide if they've passed their grief point, if they are ready to meet me. So each year, I sent a letter immediately after, and then each year I've sent a letter to this organization that passes it on. And I'm hoping one of these letters will trigger them to say, yeah, we want to meet you, so I can thank them for the huge blessing of somebody else's heart in my chest.
You have a Roger Clemens baseball
Oh,
on
yeah.
your desk.
Signed by Roger Clemens. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you told me the story before.
Oh, okay.
But for those that don't know the story, feel free.
Okay. Well, in my time with the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, I was an announcer, radio announcer, calling play-by-play. I did MC work down on the field and other things with the team. And I happened to be announcing the All-Star game that they had for that league. And his son was a catcher playing for a team out of Texas, who's now, I think, in organized baseball. I think they're a Houston Astros affiliate now, maybe AA. The Skeeters, that was the name of the team. And he had been at the game, and we hit a 45-minute, well, we didn't know it was going to be 45 minutes. We hit a rain delay, and the rain delay kept dragging on, and I was running out of things to talk about on the air. And so I told my assistant, I said, take this over for a minute, throw some commercials, and I'll be right back. And I ran down to the suite where I knew Roger Clemens and his family were, and I knocked on the door. And I said, hey, we're doing a broadcast. Would you mind coming and talking about baseball? And he goes, no steroids, but yes. And so we didn't talk about steroids, but we talked about everything else. He just sat there and told story after story. And I have some photos, which maybe we'll share on the website at some point, of interviewing Roger Clemens, Al Bunbury, who used to play for the Orioles. I've interviewed my favorite pitcher of all time, which was cool, was Jim Palmer from way back in the day. He was an Orioles announcer. He is still an Orioles announcer.
You know where he's? I don't know if he's not from here, but
He pitched in Aberdeen.
Yeah, he pitched
when
in Aberdeen.
Earl Weaver. Yeah, and we have an Aberdeen, Maryland, which actually has a team which is run by Cal Ripken.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's the Ripken owns a couple of teams. Some are independent and some are in the Orioles organization.
Okay.
And he also has Ripken, like Babe Ruth baseball or kids baseball. Wow. It's of course Cal Ripken is a superstar in Maryland, so born and raised there and all that good stuff.
Did you ask him about Game 6 of the 1986 World Series?
We talked about a whole lot of things. I don't think we specifically talked about that game though.
Yeah, the Bill Buckner game.
Yeah, exactly. Down the line. Whoops.
Because he was the starting pitcher for that game, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Did you bring any of your family here with you?
My family is all East Coast. I have a son and a daughter, and my better half is actually she's a teacher in Frederick, Maryland. And she has a younger son, and a relation, an agreement with the younger son's dad, and so they have to live near each other. So I came out here to help rebuild this team as well as I can, and she'll be back and forth for some visits, and I will, take a trip home after the season is over and do some remote work maybe for a little while.
I read somewhere that one of your kids is like an EDM DJ.
Oh, I have, my two children. I have a 29-year-old son, Matthew, who goes by the name of Staring Contest. You can look him on Instagram. He's an EDM jock, and he does a lot of videography for other bands around the LA area. He lives in LA. My daughter is a 26-year-old attorney. She's been an attorney for 2 years. She passed the bar at 24 and graduated. As a matter of fact, there she is, graduated from Penn State. And then went on to George Mason University for law school. So,
I like George Mason.
There you go. Yeah, and she's such a hardworking kid. They're both awesome. I'm a lucky father. And two dogs. I have two dogs.
Okay. I was gonna ask, do you have any favorite EDM music?
Staring Contest, and you can also look up a band, a duo called Trolleys, Trollis. They have music out. And then there's all the ones, Deadmau and some of the other ones. So I'm more of a 90s rock guy. Most of my career was as a rock announcer until I switched over to doing all news.
Alice in Chains, maybe?
Yeah, a little Alice in Chains is good. I like some Cake. My musical tastes are wide and varied. As a matter of fact, what was I playing? I was playing a bunch of Audio Slave and Chris Cornell and stuff like that earlier today. I think I took it off my screen, but
is that what's the Rolling Stone thing?
Oh, okay. Last year on my what's called the Heart Anniversary, which is the year, the day you get your transplant, I got to do my live show from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they gave me some cool passes, Social Distortion VIP.
Oh my God.
And some cool stuff like that. So yeah, and up here you see these two things. I've got 4 of them, and believe this or not, I had never run a 5K in my life. I hate running, I'll be honest about it. But after transplant, I set up a bucket list of 13 things I had to do, and one of them was to run a 5K. One of them was to run the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Rocky Steps.
The Rocky Steps, yeah.
And so I ended up running 3 5Ks. They were supposed to have something called the Transplant Games nationwide, but that got canceled due to COVID. So the state of Maryland did a Maryland Games, and I ran in some shorter runs and softball throw and long jump and a couple of other things, and a little Texas Hold'em was mixed in there. And I was lucky enough to get a couple medals from that. But again, that just goes to the fact that I've been really lucky that as a transplant patient, many transplant patients have something else wrong. They have some other comorbidities. They're obese, or they have diabetes, or they have COPD, or some other thing that hinders their recovery. I'm relatively lucky that I was able to stay healthy through all of that. I mean, I'm still sitting at 6'1", 170 to 175. So, despite the old face, I'm doing pretty well after transplant. So thanks again to my unknown donor.
This final little section,
Sure.
since you're new kind of in town, I figured I'd offer you, some pointers, maybe
Some advice for Pierre. I'll take it.
Yeah, and advice for because I've been around for the entirety of the Trappers, so I know
Okay.
kind of what people seem to like.
Uh-huh.
So I'll tell you a little bit.
I like it.
Too.
Tell me.
All right. So first thing, one thing that I know that a lot of people, a good way of getting people in the door is local players on the roster.
Okay, well, here's what I do know. I know our coaches, they're coming back from last year.
Yeah.
Now, Ontario will be the head coach, and Jamie will be the assistant coach this year. They're flipping positions, mostly due to their schedule. They
were flipped. Ontario was the head coach last
year. Was that okay? Well, then they're flipping the other way around.
Yeah.
But I know the coaches are changing positions. I've only gotten a chance to talk to them on the phone. Jamie's still in California, where he's a teacher and a phys ed teacher. I think he might even be an athletic director. And Ontario is coaching in Arkansas, coaching a junior college down in Arkansas right now, and his team's doing pretty well down there. So they should be up here in a couple. Ontario will be here before Jamie.
Yeah.
But local players, I'm going to just lay it out there. If you know any pitchers who can throw the ball, who are in college and qualify to play in the collegiate league, send them our way. Well, and especially local pitchers, we would love it to give them the opportunity to play for the Pierre Trappers.
There's one that I know of that goes to school at Dakota State that might get a call.
All right. Yeah. Either give me his information, I'll call him, or you call him and have him contact me. Because, pitching seems to be the hardest thing to get at this level. Yeah. And the coaches tell me we filled most of the infield and outfield positions and our catcher position, but we absolutely could use some strong pitching. Every team can.
We had a no-hitter last year.
Nice.
I
did not know that. I learned something new.
It was our first no-hitter, I think, in our team history.
Okay.
Well, who am I to say we? I'm not a part of the team.
Well, yeah, you are. You're part of Trappers Nation. You're doing this interview. You're part of Trappers Nation.
There's a thing that didn't happen last year, and I think 2 years prior because of COVID, all that stuff.
Okay.
That I want to see return, and it's the Beck Motors event that the team has before the season. Basically, like a day or two before the first game.
Mm-hmm.
However many players might be in town already, go to Beck Motors. They'll usually have like free hot dogs or something like that, and then kids and stuff like that can have an opportunity to meet the players before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need to return.
Well, that again, we're working on some preseason events. But again, we have the one this Saturday for hiring, for concessions and all that. And then we have the pick your seat event on the 23rd of April. And that's one of the things that we already had been talking about. I didn't know specifically that Beck did it, but I know that that's a good client of ours from seeing the contracts from the past. I know that they've worked with us, and I definitely need to reach out to them.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that on the list.
These next two are kind of tied together.
Okay.
I feel like last year we didn't really know who the beer batter was sometimes during games, which the beer batter is, I'm sure you probably are aware of what a beer batter is, right?
Yeah, if the beer batter hits a home run, or no, it's for the other team.
Yeah.
I've seen it done two different ways depending on the team. One, if the beer batter hits a home run for your team, it's like dollar beers or something like that. And then the other one is if the beer batter for the opposite team strikes out, you get
$1 off.
Yeah.
That's the way it's done here. One way I know of that can help, people know when the beer batter is and stuff. You need a good on-field host.
Well, I know that I haven't met our on-field host yet, and I do know that our PA announcer and our on-air announcer both have strong backgrounds. Okay. Again, I haven't met them yet, but I've seen their resumes. Our on-air announcer is coming from Oklahoma State, so he's got a strong background, and I'm really excited to meet him and bring him on board here at Trappers Nation.
Okay, but yeah, a good on-field host makes everything great. Our first year one, Eric, fantastic.
Mhm.
Second year, I think his name was Connor. Not a lot of people I feel like liked him.
Okay.
Peyton,
Sorry, Connor.
so, no offense, Connor. And then Peyton, the third year, she was fantastic. She now works for I think Daytona.
Oh,
Like
nice.
the
Like the raceway?
yeah, the speedway.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Then I forget who our fourth one is. Oh, Mark. He's been on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I think he's still going to school at South Dakota State as we speak. So,
Okay. Well, if he has an interest, and I know we are looking for one more broadcast intern.
okay.
We have 2 intern openings. So if you're going to college and you're in the area and you'd like to be an intern, reach out to me, john@pierretrappers.com, and we can get you set up. But again, you got to know it's for college credit. It is an internship.
Yeah.
That helps you if you're doing sports management or field management, any number of things. It can help you with your major.
So you've been here, as you've said,
About 10 days.
about
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah.
So you've gone around and met a few people.
Yeah.
And probably been to a few restaurants.
And a few people have stopped by. I haven't really done the big restaurant thing yet.
Okay.
I need to. That's something that I will start to be doing here pretty soon. I've kept it pretty close to where I was because I've been in here all day.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to say where I've eaten, but I have not gotten a chance to go to any of the good local restaurants yet, which I need to do. I've heard so much about a number of Cattlemen's I've heard good things about. There's a Mexican restaurant just around the corner from Cattlemen's I heard some good things about. And the barbecue place by the firehouse, Richie Z's.
Yep, Richie Z's. Yep.
So there's definitely some places that I need to go visit, and there are more. But again, I'm the new guy, so I don't want to leave anybody out.
Well, I'm gonna suggest a few.
Okay. Okay.
So, well, number one, the Field House, which I love.
Okay, I've heard good things.
They're up by Menards.
Mhm.
Megan and Adam, they're the owners. They usually actually sit and kind of like, have you been to Hyde Stadium for ball?
Oh yeah, I've
Okay.
been on the ballpark a couple
Okay.
times.
So you know how you have the general admission right behind the plate.
Yeah.
Right to the left, there's like, the seats. They're usually like the front row, left hand seats.
Right.
Usually is where they sit.
Okay.
They're usually season ticket holders. I think they might have like sponsorships or something that they sell. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm not that deep into the
Yeah,
front
I
office.
think that they have been clients of ours, sponsors of
Yeah.
ours throughout the years,
But they're
partners even.
they're fantastic. I don't know if you're if you enjoy an adult beverage or two.
Well, unfortunately, on the meds that I have to take
You're
for the
probably
rest of
not
my life,
allowed.
I'm not allowed to do anything illicit.
Okay.
No drinking or smoking of any kind.
Okay. But
So I am pure.
they have what do you call them?
Well, sort of pure.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
They have like pizzas that are kind of, I want to say they're tavern style a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how familiar you are with tavern style, but it's like the cut into like squares,
Uh-huh.
and it's like a cracker crust. It's
Okay,
awesome.
I know what you're talking about. Thin crust. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
And then I think Thursday is wing night.
You need a bell because what we do in radio is when you plug a sponsor, you hit the ding bell. That's what we need. I have to bring my little ding bell. Ding, 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 every time you say sponsor's name. Anyways, go ahead.
Dairy Queen, obviously great.
Uh-huh.
Locally owned.
Now, I can say that you want to talk about Dairy Queen. I'll show some love because it's really close. Zesto's.
Oh,
I've been to Zesto's. Our concessions manager, Jen, and we haven't even announced that today we signed an assistant general manager.
Oh.
So Jen Allen will be back as our concessions manager.
Okay.
And Jordan Lutner is
Yes.
our assistant general manager. He's been with the team. This is the first anyone is hearing. I haven't even released the press release
He's
yet.
been on the show before.
And Jordan is going to be our assistant general manager for this year. I am so looking forward to the experience that he brings to the table. He's local. We had to wait a little bit because he had an opportunity with the Twins that fell through. And unfortunately, he didn't get that gig, but that's good for Pierre. That's good for us, and we're really happy to have him on board. And his strengths and my strengths are a little different from each other, so we'll balance each other out really well. So I'm excited to have Jordan and Jen on the team, and in a director of fun role. We haven't fully designed his role. Former general manager Jackson Bruce will be also on my team here. So we have a strong management team here with the Trappers this year. People with experience in the market, and then I'm coming in from outside the market to bring a different style of experience to the table. So between the four of us, I think you're going to love what we're going to bring to the table this year.
I'm way more excited now than I was previously.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you been to the movie theater yet?
I've been by it. It looks like one of those cool old style movie theaters. Here's what I want to reach out to the movie theater right now. If you're watching, if you're a regular fan, I want to do a Top Gun night. So bring Top Gun to the movie theater, because it's supposed to come out at the end of May, right at the beginning of the season. If my timing is correct, it's supposed, but then again, they put it off like 3 times.
It's been delayed.
It's because of COVID and
it's to come out in like
2 years ago. Yeah, at the beginning of COVID. So if you guys bring Top Gun, I'll be over to discuss Top Gun night, and we'll make a whole night out of Top Gun. I've got a special promotion already written up. I need to go see him. So if you're watching, you're getting pre-sold right now.
No way we can get Tom Cruise to throw out the first.
Well, I don't know that
that's
going to
happen. Maybe.
Yeah, well,
Val Kilmer's filmed movies in this area.
Okay,
we could almost. I mean, he's got health problems, but
yes,
we could. I mean, I know some people that were in a movie.
Maybe Anthony Edwards, but Goose is dead from the movie. But in real life, he's no. The first Top Gun, he's dead. No, if you haven't seen Top Gun by now, you're already in trouble. I mean, you got it.
You hear that, my regular co-host? You gotta watch Top Gun because you're in trouble now.
Has he not ever seen Top Gun?
He's never seen Top Gun.
What's up with that? How old are you? 12? I'm sorry, just kidding.
He's a 31-year-old.
And still has. All right, I'm messing with you. It's okay.
Yeah. But obviously, living in Portland, or living near Portland, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
You a Blazers fan?
The day I got the phone call that I was going to get my transplant, I was on my way to a Portland Trailblazers playoff game. And hanging up in my closet in Maryland is a Dame Lillard tour shirt, Dame Lillard, the rapper tour shirt, which has all of its dates on the back.
Yeah.
And then I got him, he was shocked because everybody's bringing Dame Lillard jerseys, and I brought his tour shirt. I'm a huge, there it is. I'm an Adidas guy. You'll almost never see me wearing the swipe. I don't do the Nike thing for many, many reasons, but I am all about the third stripe life. I am an Adidas guy, and so is Dame. And so I got the opportunity to interview him, and we talked a little bit, and then I showed him that shirt. He goes, "Where'd you get this?" And I'd gotten it at an Adidas store. And so he was happy. He was really cool about signing it. But yeah, Dame and the Blazers, they tanked. They've tanked at the end of this season. They're going for a draft pick. I'm not sure if I was happy with the coaching choice when they let Terry Stotts go, but they had to do something. They kept losing in the second round. But I was laying in the hospital bed the day Dame drilled that 45-foot three-pointer that knocked out, was it the Clippers?
Was it Houston?
It was either the Clippers. No, he knocked out Houston many years ago, but this was 2019. Paul George was covering him, he's not one of my favorite players at all. And he drops it from 45 feet and he waves by. I want to see one of our players do that.
That might have been the Thunder.
It was Oklahoma City. Yeah. That's what it was, because they still had Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. They knocked out Chris Paul and Paul George. Yeah, I was loving it.
So have you met who are your favorite teams
in Major League Baseball, or just sports in general?
Sports in general.
I was born and raised in the Washington D.C., Maryland area, so I'm lucky that I get two teams that generally play in opposite leagues. So the Washington football team, the Commandos, whatever you want to call that team. You know, until Daniel Snyder's not the owner of that team anymore, I'll root for the team, but I'll never buy a piece of merchandise for that team. Yeah. That just goes way back. And then the Baltimore Ravens. So those are my NFL teams. Major League Baseball, since I've lived on both coasts, and got to see baseball all over the place, it is the Orioles, even though they have the second worst owner in all of pro sports, right behind Daniel Snyder. The Orioles and the Nationals. And then on the West Coast, Seattle Mariners. And I've always been, you may see me with a number 13 San Francisco Giants jersey every once in a while, because I'm a big fan of the Giants, just because they have a class organization. You never hear about guys getting in trouble on that team. And if they do, they're gone immediately. They don't play around with that stuff. I mean, all the way back to the Willie Mays days, before I even started watching baseball, you know, they have been a class organization. And Buster Posey was one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball. I like guys that stay with the same team for a long time. Oh, here's a baseball fact that a lot of people don't realize. I was the disc jockey, and I can verify this. I was working for Black Tie Events in Atlanta on the side of working at a radio station. And a lady came in and I met her, and her name was Corinne. And we talked a little bit. And she said, yeah, my husband Lawrence and I, or my husband to be Lawrence, we're going to get married in this small little place. And it said Lawrence Jones. And I didn't think anything of it. And I get to the event, and Lawrence Jones told me that no one calls me Lawrence. My name is Chipper. So I got to DJ the first wedding for Chipper Jones of the Atlanta Braves. And there were tons of Braves players there. He hadn't made it to the majors. He was still playing in Macon, AA ball. Okay. But I was lucky enough to DJ the first wedding for Chipper Jones. And my good friend Rich Leggett, Black Tie Events, can verify that. So contact me. And then up on the wall behind you, there are a whole lot of people that I've been lucky enough to interview, mostly musicians through the years. So I don't know if you recognize any of those people up there on the wall. There's a couple. Cheech and Chong on either side of Patrick Stump in the middle.
I love
Fall Out Boy. Maybe we can show the picture a little bit so people can see some of the fun people that we've gotten a chance to meet through the years. Again, I've just been lucky enough that my career, has been in radio, and I've been in the right place at the right time a bunch. But I don't know how well you can see the pictures. And you're the director, man. You tell me. That's William. Oh no, that's Sarah Evans, the country singer. Yeah. I met her in Georgia. That's William Fitchner, who's been in a bunch of movies.
Oh, he was in wasn't he in Apollo 13?
Wasn't Apollo 13? Well, maybe, but he was in that other one with Bruce Willis where they go to blow up the.
That's it. Armageddon.
Armageddon. Yeah, he was in Armageddon, and he's also on that TV show Mom. Oh. And he plays a guy who's in a wheelchair who's going out with mom.
You know what he is? He's one of what I like to call. That guy.
Yeah, and that was at Texas Motor Speedway, holding the trophy from Texas Motor Speedway. And yes, Cheech and Chong on either side. That's Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy. That's the band Puddle of Mud. That's my son and I with Joan Jett. I got to introduce her on stage that particular time. My son at that time was about, 13 years old. He'd won a skateboarding contest. So that's why he had the pink thing on there. And Brad Paisley? And yeah, Brad Paisley, the two original Beach Boys who still tour. That is Randy Jackson.
Oh, wow.
And that's Brad Paisley right there. And forget about the Sorry Dog commercials for ASPCA, but that's Sarah McLachlan. She's an amazing artist. That is Michael Franti. If you don't know who he is, look up a song called It's Good to Be Alive Today. That was the first song I heard after my transplant. That is a band called Vintage Trouble out of LA. I interviewed them on their tour bus. And that's a band called Fitz and the Tantrums.
I know who they are.
And so, yeah, so there's some fun people that we got a chance
You're gonna have to ask Jordan about
Fits in the Tantrums.
Yeah, so he loves the song Hand Clap.
Okay, yeah. So they're pretty cool. And then last piece, since we're trading things, I don't know how long it'll be before we get to do it again. That is an award I was given in 2005 for being in the Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
What?
So there's some pieces of the past, and I appreciate you letting me share them on your show.
Oh yeah. I must ask, how is Brad Paisley as a person? Like, is he like wonderful?
He's just a guy. No, I mean, or he's still a guy. That was his song, right?
Yeah.
He's just a guy. He was one of the things I've learned. I did country for 7 years. The rest of my career was rock or news. And country artists are so down, at least the country artists that have been around for a while, Alan Jackson and Tim McGraw, Faith Hill. I met both of them about the same time I met Brad Paisley. I was at the ACMs. We had given away, our radio station had given away pit passes at the ACM. So we were down, and there's another radio group calling us right now. We were down, we gave away passes to sit down in the pit. As a matter of fact, Reba McEntire, who I also have a photo with somewhere, almost fell on top of me.
Oh, wow.
Because the guys, in the commercial breaks, they're moving the wires around right over your head when you're in the pit, and she tripped on the wire, and fell. And a couple of us put our hands up, and we stopped Reba McEntire from falling in the pit. Crazy stories from many years of doing radio. I may have to write a book someday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was lucky enough. I wrote one about the transplant experience, but all my friends keep saying I need to write a radio book from all the stuff that has happened through the years. And there are some people that I have to wait probably till they pass away before I can tell some of these stories, so I don't get sued.
How'd you get your book published?
It was published through Amazon.
Okay.
So they have, I don't know, I think they've changed how they publish now through Amazon. But about short of a year after my transplant, I just wrote about the journey, how I got there. It's not War and Peace, not the best written book ever. I mean, it's sold a decent amount of copies. Unfortunately for me, it was released just as COVID was getting ready to hit, and I didn't get to do as much promotion with the book as I wanted. But you can find it on Amazon.com. It's called My Rock and Roll Heart Transplant Journey. And we're going to have Donate Life of South Dakota as one of our game sponsors. I've been in contact with them. They cover Minnesota and North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. And I talked to the director out of Minnesota, and she's excited about coming out here and doing an event with the Trappers this year. So, but that's some of the other things we're going to do. We're going to do some events for some worthy causes as well. Being part of the community is really big in what we're trying to do here.
Final question. One of my favorite podcasts. It's called The Dog Walk.
Okay.
So it's a Barstool Sports thing.
Okay.
They do a draft every week. This week their draft was favorite or best MLB hats. And it's like hats. I
think I saw that on like Instagram or something.
Yeah, and it was like hats throughout like the history of Major League Baseball and stuff. And it begs the question: what is your favorite Major League Baseball hat?
Wow, you're pulling the good questions. I have to say that I like Seattle's old teal hats. The Mariners with the S and the star behind the S.
Yeah, but the teal hat or the teal brim, like. Which one?
I think the teal hat and the black brims that they used to have, I think. And the old Oriole bird, even though it's silly, the old, when the Orioles were winning a long time ago, when Earl Weaver was managing at the end of, the beginning of Cal Ripken's career. And,
the 83 Orioles hat was the first one picked.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. And the classic Atlanta Braves hat. I cringe when I see a Yankee or a Red Sox hat. I am not a fan. For as much as there are certain teams that I love in pro sports, most of the teams that I loathe are teams that most people get on the bandwagon and like.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys, New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Lakers. You can have them all.
Don't you dare say a certain team that starts with D.
I said Dallas.
No. Another team that happens to wear blue.
It starts with D.
Ends with an E.
Oh.
It just got beat by North Carolina.
Oh, and yeah, you know what? I grew up a Maryland Terrapins fan.
Oh, no.
So for me to root for Carolina or Duke is so hard. And Ohio State too. Ugh. And University of Florida. Those are colleges that I'm never, anybody that's playing any, when Duke was playing North Carolina in the Final Four, my teams had already been knocked out. I had picked Villanova and Gonzaga. I love Gonzaga. I had picked those two teams in the tournament. My bracket got exploded early.
Yeah.
So
the Maryland Duke rivalry is a rivalry I wish could come back.
Okay, you want another famous connection?
JJ Redick?
No, before JJ Redick. I used to play middle school street ball and high school. We went to rival schools with Lenny Bias.
No.
Who was the number one pick of the Boston Celtics. And I can tell you, I believe this to be true. I was within a mile of where the incident happened because I lived in Riverdale, Maryland, right off the University of Maryland campus. I do believe that was the first time he experimented with coke, and it killed him because his body was in such good condition. He did it once. So don't do drugs. Okay? Don't.
I
just say no.
During the pandemic, I was watching.
You were doing drugs in the pandemic?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Well, but I was watching an old some old college basketball
like
games.
30 on 30 or something.
No, just some old college basketball games.
Okay.
You can find college basketball, MLB,
Yeah,
pro football. You can find a bunch of old games online for free. And so I was watching, I think it was like 1983 Maryland versus like NC State.
Oh yeah.
And Len Bias had like 40 points.
Len Bias
like 20 rebounds.
Yeah. He was the next Larry Bird. That's what the Celtics had drafted him to be. And he was the next Larry Bird for that team. He would have been an NBA superstar. I know a lot of guys come out of college and they're a bust, but he played his 4 years in college. That whole one and done stuff drives me crazy, which is another reason why it's getting harder to watch college basketball. But that's another story, maybe for another podcast.
You know what he reminded me of is he reminded me a little bit of like almost Kevin Durant-ish.
Not quite as tall, but yes.
Yeah.
He had that same kind of skill as Kevin Durant, no question.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Anything you want to say?
Come out and see Trappers Nation this year. First off, we'll remind you about Saturday, first big event really that we're going to be out and about, and that's the hiring event. This Saturday, Hyde Stadium from 10 until 2. Bring your paperwork with you. If you've worked for the team before, just come back out, be prepared, bring your legal IDs that you always have to have when you get a job. You'll fill out all your forms right there. We're hiring on the spot. And you'll get started working with Jen because we also handle the concessions for high school ball and American Legion ball. So we will have games that our concessions people are handling starting on the 18th, I believe. And then, of course, the 23rd, make sure you get your season tickets. Again, we released it here first. Season tickets starting tomorrow at last year's prices, guaranteed. And first come, first serve. And then we're going to have the event where you can pick your seat. We'll all go to the stadium together on the 23rd. And it'll be based on when you bought your ticket. First come, first serve. And then you'll pick your seat. And that'll be your lockdown seat for the season if you get your season tickets. And the sale on season tickets will be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., Thursday morning at 8 a.m. until Saturday the 23rd. And then we'll be switching to a new ticket system, which you'll do everything online after that.
Thank you.
All right, my friend.
Oh.
There you go. All right.